the first question for you was, what constitutes a contaminant for the OVK?
Well, it is dirt, quite simply. So it's dirt. So you get a reduced airflow.
Okay.
So it's not anything special, not COVID germs or anything like that. So it's just dirt.
Okay, just dirt. Are the necessary measurements that the owner needs to maintain generalized? Are they specific to each ventilation system, or are they drawn up by the fabricant or the OVK?
Well, it could be, for example, that the airflow is too low, and that could be depending on dirt in the ductwork, and then you should clean the ventilation pipes. So it's not expressly outlined in the regulation how you should rectify what is wrong, but you should take the measures necessary to make the ventilation work as it was intended when the ventilation system was installed at the first time.
Okay, so it means that, well, those are general requirements that I've said. They are not set ventilation system per ventilation system, or
no, it's depending on when the ventilation system was installed. So
okay.
The building code has changed. We got national building codes in Sweden in 1947, and they have changed a number of times since then. So you should make that the ventilation works as it was intended from the first time the ventilation system was installed.
Okay, so it depends on the period of installation and not of the ventilation system itself.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
About the inspector, what is the training basically? What does he need to know to be able to do to become an inspector? Is there a specific training for that? Is it
well, it's depending what kind of education you got at first. So if you, for example, isn't an engineer, it is a possibility to gain access to, well, the ventilation technique and so on in a course, and then you write an exam, and if you pass the exam, you can gain access and be a certified inspector. So it's different. It's depending on what kind of education you have before.
Okay.
So yes, so you have both a theoretical and a practical background to get certified as an OVK inspector.
OVK inspector. Okay.
Yeah.
And there is a list on the OVK website of the certified inspector. The list
yes,
of certified.
Yes, I see the next question there. The flow rate, of course, yes, that you have to check. And at the first OVK inspection, you also need to check if the ventilation sound too much. And then we have norms like when it's in the sleeping room, a maximum of 30 decibel.
Okay.
So you also have to check that at the first inspection.
So the first inspection, you check the flow rate, you check the sound pressure, so the noise rating. Do you check indoor environment quality or not at all?
No, not the environment quality.
Okay.
No, so it's just the air. No, it's just the airflow and the sound level, and if you have instructions to use the ventilation system, if you have drawings and so on. So it's the most important thing is the airflow, of course. So you sort of check that the ventilation works as this was intended when it was installed at the first time, that the airflow, well, as you see on the drawings, are met when you perform the OVK. Okay,
ductwork air tightness maybe, or fan power? Do you check it also, or the ductwork air tightness and the fan power?
No, we don't. But we check if the ducts are clean, and we also check how many kilowatts the fans are, and we calculate the SFP, the specific fan power. We also have to check, and we also check the heat recovery systems. that it works all right. It's very important in the northern Europe because it's so cold outside sometimes, you know. So the heat recovery is a very important thing to check.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. If we move to the next question, how often are the inspector audited?
Well, you get to be an inspection for 5 years at a time. So every 5 years you need to write a new test. Yeah. So you are up to date with the new building code and so on, and the new ventilation measuring standards, as you talked about before.
Okay, so basically every 5 years. And how many auditors do you have in Sweden?
1,860. You mean auditors? Well, you mean that?
No, sorry, inspector. Inspector.
Yeah, inspectors 1,860.
Okay.
And 10 in Åland.
Okay.
Åland. Yeah, it's part of Finland, quite close to Stockholm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. Good. And then we have something that is more a comment than a question. It says that the OVK method inspired the French TightVent guide in 2000 that is itself inspired the Promevent protocol that Ariane will present afterwards.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, that's yeah. Okay. No, another question is coming. How is cleanliness checked? Is it visually, or is it following a given standards, or how do you check the cleanliness of ductwork?
Well, there is a method, a standard when you wipe it off and then you weigh it, so you can see how clean the ventilation system is. And it's also one method is that so-called photo interpreter, when they have taken pictures of ventilation systems and how dirty they are, and then it's you have numbers on them, so it's different methods, but most commonly I think is well, you just look at it. That's the most common thing.
Okay, just look at it. So mostly visually. It's allowed to do it just visually. Okay.
Yes, it's mainly it's visually.
Okay. Okay, again, we go back to the inspector. So it's a bit messy because we've got some problem with the Q&A. Now it seems to be solved, but it's coming from different sides. So it's we go back to the inspector. So the work of the inspector itself, is it checked on site? Do you have auditors going to check on site to check the accuracy of what the inspector does, and how often?
No, it's the the municipalities building board. They have sort of the supervision, and if they see that an inspection doesn't do as he or she should, they could call the certification body, and they have the power to withdraw the right to do inspections.
Okay, but the municipality itself.
Yeah, the municipality, they if they notice that an inspector doesn't do what he should, they could call the certification body, and we have 2 certification bodies in Sweden. It's called either it's RISE or Kiva, 2 companies that manage the certification of the OVK in Sweden, and they can take back the right to perform OVK. But it's not very common. Most OVK inspectors do as they should.
That was my question.
Yeah.
How often does it happen? That
it does happen. It does happen. We have had some problems with OVK inspectors that are not in place by themselves, so they send younger people who are not certified. That have been a problem, and if they do that, they lose the right to perform OVK.
Yeah, the qualification is for the person itself and not for the company.
Yes,
so
it is.
Needs
it's
to be the
personal.
person that, personal.
It's personal. Yeah.
Okay. Are there any requirements for duct sealing? I guess we are talking here about ductwork tightness, most probably.
Well, that it could be, but it often is in a sort of agreement between the contractor and the building owner. When you build the ventilation system at first, we don't test that when we do OVK.
Okay.
But it's often written as in the agreement that the ventilation manufacturer install after. So if you have an agreement, then it's often a part of this.
Okay.
So it should be tight enough.
Yeah, tight enough, whatever it means. But you may see it because you may not have the flow rate, the required flow rate of the terminal. If the ductwork is too leaky, you may
that
have
could be a problem, of course.
Yeah, but as you don't check the fan power, it may just be compensated by the more fan speed.
Yeah, and if you notice that the airflow isn't what it should be, then it's it's the building owner who has to decide what to do to fix it. It could be, as you say, that the airflow isn't tight enough, so it's leaking. Yes, it could be that.
Is the data of the test conducted and their results available publicly? So do you have some kind of national database that gets all the reports?
No, not yet, but in fact our Boverket in Sweden, which is the authority that take forward rules and such things about ventilation, they have a suggestion that we should implement a national database for OVK protocol, but we don't have it yet. So it's at the municipality level. That's where it is today. So every municipality has an own register for, like in Stockholm and Malmö, Gothenburg, and so on. So it's spread throughout the country. So no national database yet, but they are working on it. So perhaps and of course it would be very good, because then it would be easy to access. If you work in different cities, it's not always easy to gain access to the latest protocol, because that is also something that you want to have in hand when you do an inspection.
Okay, but yeah, we are only talking about inspection at commissioning anyway, right? Not regular inspection for now.
Yeah, it's also regular inspections, because you do one inspection at the first time and then you do it regularly.
Oh,
and,
and
the main difference is that when you do it regularly during the intervals, you also should check if it's possible to save energy. That's the main difference between first and later inspections.
Yeah, as required by the PVD directive, actually. So you are in advance with the new directive. Okay, do we still have some time? Let's another 3 minutes. How is ventilation effectiveness assessed? Simply measuring supply and exhaust airflow does not define the air delivered to the bracing zone. Yes.
No, that isn't measured. We don't do that normally. It's quite rare, because you could use CO2 to determine that, but that's not normally done during the OVK. We just measure the airflow.
The airflow,
that. Yeah, only the airflow.
Yeah, that's the first step. I mean, So yeah. So we are back to the question of the cleanliness of ductwork now. So in Sweden, you don't use the D test according to EN 15780. So this is the standards about the cleanliness of ductwork, but this standard is not required to be used in the context of the OVK, right?
No, it isn't.
So you can, only comply with doing the visual assessment at what you are saying.
Yes.
And
of course, as you said, that you have the airflow, number one, of course. It's the most important.
The airflow is the most important thing. Yeah. Okay.
But of course, if it's supply air, it can't be dirty, because then it's a problem, of course. And if it's in the exhaust, if you still have the airflow, then it's normally not a problem. But of course, it could be a problem if it's ductwork from a kitchen, so it could be a fire problem. That could be a problem, of course.
Yeah, and also power of the fan that may need to overcome the pressure drop, the additional pressure drop.
Yeah.
Okay, I will take just one last question, and I think it will be a quick one, because do you measure the airflow in the bracing zone? I don't think so. No, you measure at the terminal or in the ductwork, but not in the bracing zone itself.
The terminals, both the supply and the exhaust terminal in each room, that is measured.